Okay, recording now. And I'm taking the cell phone with me so that I can see my face when I sit down. Good. Hopefully it's still in focus. Light is good, and there's like a hair coming down. Way, just move, and there's hair all over the place. Okay, that's it. Hello, I'm Charles Kay, founder and publisher of Ways Mag, and this is at the same time. This is the first installment of the Naked Truth. Naked Truth is my blog or vlog, both of them, and this is where I'm going to speak about the whole experience of doing this magazine, which is a global art nude magazine. I can't move in this chair. And also about the many things that happen to us, and well, during during the time I'm doing the magazine. So today I got a beautiful. We have a new article coming out. We have a beautiful article coming out. It's by a model and also a photographer, and also yogini, called Philactère Modèle. And Philactère sent us a beautiful text about her wish to do her. She sent us a beautiful Philactère sent us a beautiful text about her work, and in this text she was speaking about how you can dissociate what I would call the soul from the form, the body, right? Many people just look at it. They're doing nude photography, and they just look at a body and they say, "Oh, this is a beautiful body, and I'll shoot this person. I'll take photographs, and it's gonna be, it's gonna look great." And that's kind of the idea behind, being a model. And people think, "Oh, you're gonna be a great model because you're beautiful," and that's not how it works at all. I mean, it can be depending on what you're doing, but. Well, I mean, it can be depending on what you're doing. But if you're trying to do something expressive, then it's not so much about how do you look or how you look. If you're trying to do something expressive, then it's not so much. If you're trying to do something expressive, it's not so much about how you look, but it's about how you perform. If you're trying to do something expressive, it's not so much about how you look, but rather about how you perform and how you relate to the camera and to that other person who is actually taking the photographs and who is creating the work with you. Well, some photographers consider they're doing like it's like their job, and then there's like a model's job, and they are two separate things. And other people like me, and I think most people involved with the magazine nowadays, we tend to think that there's just one thing. There's like the act of creation, and it's done together. It's something that happens in between the photographer and the model, or rather, I'd rather say not the model, but in between two persons. One of them is holding a camera and the other is not. So one is more concerned about point of view, the distance and focus, and a bunch of technical issues. And the other one is more concerned about expressing his or her own body and putting it really into something that that other person, the one with the camera, can actually like take away just a little bit, but take away and grab those photos and put them into storage, like be it film or a sensor, digital sensor. But you're capturing the image. That's the nature of that. That's what we call photography, like a capture, right? So when you're doing this, you're not just capturing a beautiful form, whatever beautiful means. I don't know if there is any meaning to this word, but at least, well, there might be a meaning, but the meaning is like very diverse and plural. And I think the photographer's mission is always to find beauty in whatever he or she is seeing. And the other person's mission, That's a person we'd call model, but I won't do it. I won't call the other person the model. It's just rather the subject, right? It's the subject of the photographs. So yeah, you have one person who is like trying to grab images, and the other person is trying to be to generate an image. So you have like a capteur, you have someone who captures and someone who generates, right? And they're both interacting, and in fact the image is in between them, and it's being generated by the act of being together, mediated by a camera. But it's not, that's why, you know, the camera is not so important. The camera is there to capture something. You need a camera to make photos. You can, you know, just do sculptures, you can paint, you can do drawings, and then you need other things. But if you're taking photographs, you need a camera. I need to drink water. So what happens in expressive photography is that you have this relationship going on all the time. And during a session, I think a good session is going to be. I think a good session is when a photographer and a model really get together, really get into the same vibe. I think a good session is when a photographer and a model. I think a good session is when a photographer and the person who is, I'll call it posing, because, you know, I'll destroy the whole vocabulary. I unpose people, I call people and not models. So I have like unposing people in front of something that I still call the camera. That's about the only thing I still call that's about the only thing I still call by the more usual name. Yeah, I still call myself a photographer. I don't call myself a visual artist, because a visual artist is, that can be a lot of things. I don't know why people like to complicate words and things much more than they already are complicated. And I think that's enough for the first video, because I'm totally lost here. I need a script.